This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined for the first time in a while by Levi Kinsiona. How are you, Levi?
No, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, this is the first time in ages, the first time Sonny interviewed me on here, and you
He
were
did.
cameraman.
He did. Yeah, Sonny has a way of taking over the show whenever he gets the opportunity to, and he did. I think he did actually quite a good job in that interview.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
much
you
as
did.
yeah, he's one of the good things that Sonny, apart from boxing, of course, he's always very good at talking.
And he never stops talking, that's the thing. So you didn't have a chance there.
Um, Sorry, Levi, my connection is a little bit ropey at some points here. Right, just before we get started, of course, the big news with you, the kind of the big changes to your setup and your team recently is you've been drafted in by the White Rhino, of course, somebody who I know very, very well in the sport, who is now your manager. Just talk to us a little bit about the reason for the switch.
The reason for the switch is that I was with Steffi Ball for 2 years. So I signed a 2 years contract with Steffi Ball. And I really had my career mapped out, obviously, of what I wanted to do. I wanted some tune-up fights, wanted to fight some decent people, and then I wanted to box for a title. Obviously, I took my first loss, was it last year or the year before, November? And then that just changed everything. Like, no one thinks they're going to lose, that is. So obviously, my plan was my plan until then. So after I took my first loss, I had to go home, reevaluate, and see what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. And May, before the pandemic or whatever happened, I was meant to fight for the Central Area title. And then obviously that happened, went into lockdown, and I couldn't fight for the Central Area title. And my contract ended in February with Steffi. And I was thinking to re-sign, but then I was thinking, do I want to really be having a year out because of the situation that we're in, and then going back to boxing on small hall shows? And for me, I didn't see that. I didn't see that, like, going to play Bravo, not box, if I was doing that. So I seen that Dave was looking to manage fighters and was training fighters. So I dropped him a message, and then he said he'll come down, bring some lads sparring and whatnot. And I've known Dave since I've been an amateur. He's seen what I've been about. He's seen me in the national tournaments and stuff like that. So it was just a perfect match, really.
Now, a lot of people were kind of taken by surprise by the link up. I didn't actually know that you'd known each other that long. I guess one of the questions really is, obviously Dave is still fairly new to the kind of the management game, albeit a very knowledgeable boxing person. Anybody who spoke to him will say the same thing. What was kind of the deciding factor after speaking to him? Why go with Dave Allen as opposed to going with a different manager?
So originally I was going to move to London because my family are very, very close with Chris Congo. So I know him personally. And when I was down in London during the pandemic, I was training with him. So I was down there for a bit, training at their gym, and we were talking about, obviously, finding me a management team and stuff down there, and me training down there full time. But when I've come up to Sheffield and we've gone into this current lockdown that we're in, I thought I can't just uproot my life and just go to London and do that. So I wanted a manager that I knew would put the pressure on promoters and everyone about getting me on fights. And Dave's a straight up person. He'll tell you if you can do that. He'll tell you if you can't do that. And obviously, I believe what he's saying, and he's doing what he's saying.
What's the plan? What's the plan that you've mapped out with Dave so far?
So the plan that we've mapped out so far is get ourselves on a show, and we might not be the A side. Obviously, we're going to be in the away corner to start off with. Win, put on a good performance, and then start being in the home corner. And from there, I want to start boxing domestic fights, getting good domestic fights. Hopefully, after my first one, I want to box for the English title, and then move up from there.
So at this point, obviously, it's been a year now, just over a year since you've boxed, but you've got no hesitation of going in there as a B-side. Is it just a case of taking whatever opportunities are arising at this point in time?
I've got no hesitation whatsoever because I've been in the gym for a year straight. It's not like I've had anything else to do. So I've been in the gym a year, constantly working on my craft. I've got a new team outside of, obviously, Dave. I've got a new setup. I'm with a new gym. I'm with Liam Morshi that used to be down at the Ingle gym. So he's got quite an Ingle style. And me and him are gelling well. We've been working on different things, and I get more of that one-to-one time. And I feel like with the rate I'm developing at, I'm ready for these ready for these fights. I've been in tough fights. I've took an L. I've bounced back from that. So I'm ready to push on. A lot of these prospects don't know what it's like to be in hard fights. They've never been in hard fights. And a lot of them are still turning down hard fights in a time where no one can get fights.
Just alluded there to a change in team, not only Dave, but also with a trainer. You mentioned kind of the one-on-one time. Was that kind of the significant factor in you deciding to go with a new trainer?
Yeah, that was the whole reasoning around it. Like, I love being down at Steel City Gym with all the lads, and I still go down there twice a week to do my strength and conditioning and still catch up with them and everything. But just for me, I needed that one-to-one time to develop myself. They're all doing their own things. They're all having big fights, and they need that time with Grant. I just needed my time separate from that.
Can't have been an easy decision to make, because I've seen, obviously, we mentioned kind of the last time we saw each other, which seems like an eternity ago, kind of pre-COVID.
Yeah,
But I know how close that you are with Sonny Edwards, with Charlie, with Dalton, with the rest of the guys in the gym. It very much does have that family feel to it. But I guess that's just kind of an indication of how serious that you're looking to take your career. The fact that you're willing to move away from that.
Yeah, that was it. It's like it was almost like shadowed by what they were doing, what they were achieving, and like I was forgetting myself. Obviously, I was around them being world champions and in big fights, and then I was forgetting about my own career. Obviously, I was going away with them for weeks at a time when there was in the fight weeks and stuff like that, and forgetting about my own training. But now it's more about concentrating on myself, bringing myself along. Like, my whole team's changed. I've got a nutritionist on board, a good strength and conditioner. My trainer gives me loads of one-to-one time. Everything is in the right place now. I'm not, if anything does go wrong, it's only me to blame, really. That's it.
You mentioned a new S&C and a new nutritional advisor. That's always a great step for any fighter to take in their career, no matter what stage they're at in their career. I've spoken to Dave about potential fights that you may look to get. He's floated the idea of a drop down to lightweight. Do you think that that's possible?
Yeah, my drop down to lightweight would be easy. Like, I am big featherweight, but when I've made welterweight, when I've made super lightweight, I've never had a diet plan. Like, I've never stuck to a diet plan. I've just made it, really. When I was boxing at welterweight, I was eating more just to stay at the weight. Like, I'd be training and starting camp at about 66 kilos and then just trying to stay up. And that was more draining than me actually training. Like, so moving down to lightweight and actually working at my weight and boxing at the right weight would be more efficient for me. And I think I can do things at lightweight.
What would be your ideal fight? I mean, I know you've said that you take any fight at lightweight, light welterweight. What's a realistic name for you to kind of, that you could potentially see yourself getting in within the next however many weeks or months? Hopefully sooner rather than later.
A realistic name. So, like, a lot of the lightweight scene are actually super lightweights. If you actually look at them, like, they're not real lightweights. They're just boxing at that weight at the minute. But like, I'd be happy to fight Aki Fiaz, Kane Baker, who's fighting Kane Baker at the minute. What's his name?
Forgotten his
I
name.
keep forgetting. Yusuf Kamari, Mark Chamberlain. Anyone after the top six, I'd be happy to fight. 100%. Like, I wouldn't bat an eyelid at it.
I guess going. Sorry to interrupt. I guess going with somebody like Dave, who is admittedly, historically a Sky Matchroom fighter in the past, but he's been kind of open with the fact that he's willing to work with anybody. I guess that leaves you the opportunity to fight people on both sides of the street, so to speak.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm happy to fight any of them. Like, if any one of them want to give me an opportunity, then I'd be happy for it. Like, like I've said, around about this time, there's not many fights that people can take or can get offered. So the fights that you do, you just got to take it with both hands. So if anyone's lacking an opponent, like I've said previously, I'm happy to jump in. I'm staying in the gym, staying around my weight. So I'm always going to be ready. And it's just up to them, really, and their team, if they want to take that risk, because it is a big risk to take. Then I'm not coming around to play.
One of the questions I'm always interested to ask people who are now working with Dave, it still feels quite strange to me to see him managing fighters, having seen the way that he lived his life as a fighter sometimes, but let's not go into that. How is he with regards to kind of, is he a hands-on manager? Does he stay on top of your training? Does he try and stay on top of your weight? What type of, obviously, admittedly, you've not worked together for a tremendous amount of time so far, but what type of manager is he?
Well, he does stay on top of it. Like, I'm messaging, and obviously he'll ask me how training's going and what. He does bring his lad down to my gym to spar and that. So he does stay on top of it. And he's not really in this to mess about. He's in this to take kids that haven't really got much, haven't really come from like the good amateur backgrounds, and do what he did with himself to them, but obviously even better, win titles. And I know I can win titles. I started boxing at 17 years old, and I started doing the novices and flew through them. And then I decided to turn pro. If I would have stayed amateurs a little bit longer, I don't know where I would have got. But I decided to turn professional, and I know that I can win titles, especially at lightweight.
Okay, before I let you go, you mentioned being close to Chris Congo. Chris Congo is somebody that I know very well as well from my time in sport. I just want to grab your opinion on the fight that he's in a few weeks' time. A really interesting bout between him and Michael McKinson. Now, the fact that you're very close with Chris, I'm expecting you to obviously go with him, but break down that fight for me, because I think that's a very, very interesting fight.
So it's not even just that I'm close to him, just from Michael McKinson's last performance and from Chris Congo's last performance, I just feel like McKinson lacks the power to phase him. Chris is massive for a welterweight, and he can punch, and he's a slick boxer. And McKinson's a very, very slick boxer. So the early rounds, it's going to be obviously about who's got the skills. But later on, if McKinson can't hurt Chris or gain his respect, then I think he's going to get stopped.
Okay, well, I know that you're certainly impartial and would have put your personal feelings aside for Chris in that one anyway. But Levi, not a lot to talk about right now, but as soon as you get a fight, I'm sure we will. I'm going to be coming up to Sheffield to do some bits and pieces with yourself, with Dave, in the next couple of weeks. So we'll leave it there for today and look forward to catching up with you soon, hopefully when you have a fight to announce.
No, 100%. Really appreciate it, mate.
No problem, Levi. Anytime. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
All right, thank you.